So, I got ran over by a car. It almost killed me. You will not believe my surprise when I find out who it was. My brother. And I'm going to tell you why he did it. For as long as I can remember, Alex, my older brother, has been someone that I've always looked up to. He was one of the most well-put-together people that I hope to become one day. But he was not always perfect. Life knocked him down many times over the years, and he ended up losing a lot. But he still got up and started over. I truly admired and trusted him. Alex was one of the first people my wife, who's 30, and I told about the pregnancy. I'm 31 and wanted him to be happy for me. He was going to be an uncle. Alex was happy for me. He told me that he was proud, but I could see that he was sad. I realized as I was rethinking our encounter later that maybe he was disappointed that he was not starting a family of his own. Alex, 5 years my senior, was always the first to do everything, and I would follow in his footsteps. He would have always had the answers and any advice when there was no one else to turn to. I did not realize that this was the first time I was doing something before him. I felt bad for him, as I remembered how 3 years before he had nearly gotten married, but his fiancée left him when he experienced drug problems as well as got retrenched. He became a man and I did not recognize. Someone who was not in control, and that had shattered the image I had of him for years, but I never left him. Our family never did because in our own ways, he had been good to all of us. And now it was time for us to show him the support he needed. I kept that in mind, feeling bad that he was not the one giving me those good news, but also knowing that no matter how he felt, he was going to be there for us. After I told the person I considered even more important than my parents, my wife and I organized a small dinner with both sets of parents to break the news. As for the public, we were not going to make a formal announcement as we're very private people. Either way, our family was very happy for us and excited to meet the newest member of the family. I have to admit, I was scared that I would not be the best dad or know how to be the best parent. But my brother reassured me that I would be an amazing father. It would come instinctively to me. As the pregnancy progressed and we reached the milestones, I heard my baby kicking for the first time and heard his or her little heartbeat. An unimaginable love overcame me. I wanted to protect and love that little human being more than I ever wanted to for anyone. I thought that I could not love anyone as much as I loved my wife, but that baby she was carrying was our whole world. But all was not perfect, as several strange occurrences did not make sense to me until it was too late. My parents are pretty well off, but I've not depended on their money for several years now. Even when I was struggling financially, Janet and I made do with what we had, living in a modest house and sharing a car. Well, when we announced the pregnancy, my parents surprised us with a pretty big house and a brand new car. A very beautiful and expensive car, to say the least. I could not simply just accept it. It was a lot. Too much. But my mom told me that it was to secure the future of her grandchild and any siblings that would follow. It was not a gift for us, but the grandchild. When she put it like that, I could not deny them the right to gift their grandchild. So I agreed, and we moved into the 4-bedroom house that they bought for us. When my wife suggested that we should give the car to my brother, since ours was pretty good already, and we did not need such a fancy car, I found myself agreeing with her. But I did not immediately agree with her because the car had been a gift from my parents, and I was not sure if I wanted to give it away. But she said that we already had a lot. This big house, a happy marriage, and a baby on the way. He did not have all that. She also suggested that we could buy ourselves another car when we finally sold our old house. I decided to just agree with what she was saying, even though she was being so strange and pushy about it. The last thing I wanted was her crying and screaming at me. something that was starting to happen a lot more as her pregnancy progressed. So then, my wife and I gifted the car to my brother, who was beyond grateful. I did not notice that he looked like he was not 100% okay, and I got worried. I wish I just asked more and forced the answer out of him so that I would have prevented the tears in a couple of months. But alas, I was so selfish and focused on myself and my child. As the months go on, my wife just got worse and mood swings were intense, cravings and memory problems. For instance, she would give me the wrong time for her doctor's appointment several times, and she blamed the fact that she was so forgetful and the hormones were messing with her. But it started to feel more and more like she just did not like me. She snapped at me most times, got shifty when I wanted to touch the baby, and did not tell me if she was going somewhere. The last one was a very big problem for me though, because she was in a very critical stage of her life, prone to moodiness, and it was her first child. I love both of them so much that if anything were to happen to them, I would have been destroyed. In addition to that, my brother was pulling away from me and blaming work for it. On the other hand, he did not make an effort to visit us and buy toys for the unborn baby. We decided that we wanted him to be the godfather, as he was very important to both of us. He highly respected my wife and took care of her when I was not there, just like his own sister. I was sure that he was going to be the best uncle ever. Well, about 2 months before she gave birth, I started to suspect my wife of cheating. I know. Who was I supposed to suspect her of cheating with when she has been together for so long with me? I was disgusted at myself for even thinking that she would look at another man while I'm still alive. But the signs were only growing stronger day by day. Her refusal to display any sort of affection towards me, her messing up doctor's appointments so that she could go alone, her constant jumping when a text message came through on her phone. The one time I woke up in the middle of the night and she was gone. I waited up until she returned, then I asked her where she's been. She got very defensive, saying that I did not trust her and that I was always acting like she was an egg. She told me that she had a craving for yogurt and we ran out, so she went to the nearby garage to buy some. But here's the thing. I knew for certain that we had lots of yogurt in the fridge. I'd bought them when I came home from work, and she was always craving them. So whatever she was saying was a big old fat phony lie that I caught her in. I was so disappointed in her, willing myself not to suspect the woman who was carrying my child. But every day I was starting to feel like we were strangers, like I could not trust her. I did not want such a thing to happen. We had built such a beautiful life together. So when I went through her phone that night when she was asleep, I felt like I was betraying her trust. It was the most rotten feeling ever. I did not want to find anything that would destroy us. I could not. But there, a text exchange with an unsaved number caught my eye. There were very few text messages, meaning that she's been deleting the previous ones. The one that hit me the hardest was the last one from her. It read, "It is the last time, I swear." Ugh, what was the last time? What could have been so bad that she did not tell me? There was no way she could cheat on me when she was so loyal. And I did not even see any signs before the pregnancy. And who could this man be that she was texting? At least I assumed it was a man, but I could not be sure. I needed to confront her, but before I did that, I knew Alex would have better advice on how I could do this. So the next morning, I visited him after going home from work. Alex was different in a bad way. He was frantic, intense, which was the contrast to his usual calm but friendly attitude. I asked him if he was using again, as he had been just like the last time. Alex said that not everyone could be sunshine and roses like me. He was on a diet of only caffeine from working so much. I told him about me suspecting my wife, and then showed him the screenshots I forwarded myself. Before leaving, I checked her phone once again, but oddly enough, her PIN changed. He was silent for a long time as he looked at those messages, like they were something foreign to him. It was difficult to explain the look of confusion, then anger that set it over him. Then he told me to leave him alone. He did not have time for me. Of course, I wanted to know why my own brother was treating the concerns I had like this, and just like I handed him a trash bag. I asked him to tell me what the heck was going on right then, or I would not hesitate to call our father. Because to me, it looked like he was using again, and the last thing I needed was to go through that, like last time. He practically roared, telling me that I was selfish and I could only think about myself. I was constantly pitying him because his life was such a mess, and I only wanted to talk to him if it benefits me. Well, when I protested, he told me to leave the house. I got so angry that I decided to leave him to dance with the death, if that's what he wished for. I tried but failed to reach out. I was also very scared of my brother for the first time in my life. I felt like he was going to choke me if I chose to remain for one moment longer. I stood at the front of his house for a good minute, trying to control the waves of anger rushing through me. I could not drive while my heart felt like it was going to dive. It was then when I was thinking of the million problems that I had and thinking of the next course of action when I heard the engine. I snapped out of my thoughts just in time to experience the impact of a car. I think I flew through the air and hit the ground. That must have been the second bout of pain that went over my body before I went down. That was the closest I've ever been to death. Run over by my own brother. It was in a frenzy. I came to several times when someone found me on the road, when I was in the ambulance and when the doctors were talking over me, saying things I couldn't even hear. When I finally woke up, I had the worst headache ever. The fluorescent hospital lights did not even help, nor did the chatter of my family, who all started speaking at the same time. A calm man told them to leave me for a while as he checked to make sure that I was okay. I thanked him in my mind because my body was so sore, and I was still very confused as to how I ended up there. After the doctor went through checking my vision and giving me some painkillers, some things started coming back to me. My fight with my brother, the sound of the engine, and the pain that followed right after. I remember my wife and the message that made me visit my brother in the first place. My brother, who was very angry and acting crazy like he was back in those drug days that nearly took his life. I passed out sometime as I was thinking about how none of what happened was making sense. I finally woke up later to find my parents and my aunt from my father's side at my bedside. They all started talking all at once, and I could hardly figure out what the heck they were saying. Until my dad told the other two to shut up, and a booming voice, then finally, there was silence. My father asked me where my brother was, and who ran me over. So it appeared that my brother did not stay at the scene of the crime. The first words out of my mouth were, "You have to find him, he's not okay," as I tried to get up and look for him myself. They helped each other hold me down. Then my mom told me that my wife's water broke when she heard that I've been in an accident. She's given birth to a beautiful baby boy while I was out. I wanted to go and see my wife as soon as I heard the news. My son was okay. All that joy and all those dreams that filled my mind came crashing down when my best friend burst into the room with a grim expression on his face. I thought it was bad news about my child, but Ian told us that he has something to show us. He first showed my parents, who turned pale as a ghost as they read whatever was written down on that paper. Then they showed my aunt, who let out a little scream. I demanded that they show me whatever it was, and they reluctantly did. It was my brother's social media. The post started soon after what he did to me. It was all very cryptic, but the last one sent shivers down my spine. He wrote, I can never forgive myself for what I've done, but I could not let my brother live knowing that I betrayed him and the child he was so excited about was mine. Just like that, those 2 sentences broke my heart. I felt it all: rage, hurt, betrayal, and my favorite, clarity. It's all been right in front of my eyes, but I saw nothing. I confronted Janet, and she told me that she's been cheating on me with him for the past year. He's been blackmailing her for money and the car so he would not tell me the truth. They both knew the child was not mine. I only had to take one look at him to know, and told her that I wanted her out of my house as soon as she left the hospital. I was also going to divorce her and forget that she ever existed. I can call her every name on the planet, and I can drown in this sadness for more months to come, but they're both dead to me. I have no wife. I have no brother. The last time I spoke to my brother was when they brought him to the hospital when he was drunk driving. I told him that even being hit by his car did not hurt me as much as this betrayal. Nothing can fix it. We can never be brothers again. He's to stay away from me, or I'll press every charge against him possible for the hit and run and make sure that he suffers a miserable fate. I've not spoken to both of them for the past month. I do not plan to ever again. Hell would be a vacation for them. I want them to feel the agony I experienced when I lost my wife, brother, and son in one foul sweep. But I'll not be the one to pass judgment. Their day is coming. Okay, so this story was absolutely insane. So I don't get it though. The brother realizes he made a mistake and decides, hey, I can't face this, so I'm gonna run over my brother with a car. That is so absurd and just crazy to think like that. That person needs some deep therapy, but I'm glad OP found a way to get away from both of them. His cheating wife and his brother. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this story. Drop it in the section below. Tell me on a scale of 1 through 10 how bat crap crazy that brother was. I say 11. Okay, the final story of the day that we're going to look at is an Am I the A-hole story. Am I the a-hole for serving a pregnant woman a non-alcoholic cocktail? During my shift last night, a group of 4 women in their late 20s came in. They were a pleasure to have as customers. They ordered 4 of our house cocktails to start with, and then went over the menu for their entrees. When I was on my way back to the booth with drinks on a tray, I walked by the backside and overheard one of them talking about how she was 14 weeks along. When I rounded back, they were talking about the same topic, and it was clear to me that she was pregnant. I figured having one drink wasn't a big deal. They ordered their entrees, and I went off to handle the other tables. About 5 minutes later, they called me over again and asked for another round. At this point, I started getting concerned, but I took the order and cheerfully said I'd be right back. This time, I went to the bartender and asked him to make one of them a virgin cocktail. He was confused, but since he's a good friend of mine, I told him to just trust me. A few cocktails later, her strictly virgin, they started getting rowdy, and Miss Pregnant Woman was also getting into it. I figured that she did not notice things would be okay. The problem came when I took them their check, and they asked to split the bill at the register. When Miss Pregnant went to the counter, I saw her cocktails were marked with virgin. My bartender had edited each of their system for inventory. It was too late for me to edit them back, so I just had her pay, hoping that she would not look at the receipt. They all thanked me, left, leaving a generous tip in the process. They were talking in the parking lot for the next short while, presumably waiting for an Uber. Several minutes later, Miss Pregnant Woman came back and asked what virgin on the receipt meant. I fessed up. It meant non-alcoholic. She blank stared at me for a second and asked if she had ordered a non-alcoholic cocktail. I said, well, no, but told her I assumed she wanted one, seeing as she was pregnant. It was lame, and it was a lie, I'll admit it, but she looked me in the eyes and asked me to return her part of the tip. So I did. Then she talked to my manager. My manager took me into her office and literally shrieked at me until she was hoarse. I stood my ground and told her that I'm not going to be responsible for FAS. She told me that she was taking me off the calendar until she decided what to do with me. She also informed me that I could get the restaurant in serious trouble for discrimination, and upon examination of my state's laws, she's correct. But when I talked to my mother and father about it tonight, they told me that they understood my position. The entire staff at the restaurant is against me, and I think I'm going to call in and tell my manager that I quit. But I still feel like I was in the right here. I would like some perspective on this, and I need to know, am I the a-hole here? Okay, so I might not have the most popular opinion here, considering almost everyone in the comment section is leaning towards you are the a-hole. I'm going to have to say, in my personal opinion, everyone sucks here. I did find one comment that was supportive and very popular that kind of says what I'm trying to say in the best way possible. Let's read it. Everyone sucks here, but you had good intentions. She sucks for obvious reasons. You suck because you had no way to prove she was pregnant. You altered her drink without informing her, and you made a big decision without speaking to your manager. That's why everybody sucks. Guys, let me know if you agree with me. Drop your comments down below. I would love to hear your opinion on this topic. So go ahead and shoot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want daily videos. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll catch you in the next one.